I'm going to walk through my process for launching Google Ads campaigns for self-storage facilities. We'll start by looking at the search results and the various ads that are available on Google. So if a user types in storage unit near me or storage unit plus a city, you're typically going to see the 4 text ads at the top of the page. There's another ad format that can actually show up in the map listings. So this is what it looks like here, where you'll see this first listing is sponsored. So the way you can set this up is by connecting your Google business profile to your Google Ads account and then enabling the location extension. This is not a separate campaign type. It's just an extension you could enable. And then you'll now be eligible to actually have your ad also show up in the map listings. The way I like to set up campaigns are by focusing on multiple aspects of the first page. And we really like to use Google Ads in combination with local SEO and SEO as a whole. Because what that'll do is we can have a text ad show up immediately at the top of the page. So we're one of the first storage facilities that a user will see when they're making the search. Then if somebody scrolls past the ads, typically the map listings are going to be next. So we want to make sure through local SEO, we're showing up here organically. But it also can be valuable to have your ad show up at the top, because now we have multiple chances of a user selecting our facility and visiting our website and potentially booking a unit before we even get to the standard organic listings. And the way this becomes really powerful is when you have multiple ads, plus you start ranking organically, and a user sees you 2, 3, or even 4 times on the first page, it's really going to separate you from the competition that's only there either through an ad or through an organic listing. There's a powerful effect when a user sees you multiple times, where there's an authority that gets built up and trust that gets built up that you're going to be one of the better facilities in the area because you're featured so many times on the first page of Google. So when you're running ads and also doing an SEO campaign, you could essentially get all of that coverage on the first page. But the ads at the top are always going to be critical in a competitive market. So the way I like to do our template is we have this format here in a Google Sheet where our base campaign we typically will launch is all centered around storage keywords with a few modifiers. So we're typically going to launch a campaign with near me. So it'll be the various storage keywords plus the words near me. Then we're going to do one that's storage plus the actual city name that the facility is located in. And then we're going to have another campaign, which we call our broad campaign, where the user's typing in storage or storage unit. They're not necessarily typing in the location or near me, but we still want to capture those searches. And the key that makes this work is using the radius targeting inside of Google Ads. So we like to set up 2 different radiuses around the facility location, a 3-mile and a 5-mile. Now, over time, we may remove the 5-mile radius if we're getting better performance out of the 3-mile. But it's nice to launch with both so you can gather some data to see what's working better. And then you have an additional optimization step you can take as the campaigns run and you start analyzing the data coming in. So this is kind of the core base set of campaigns we'll launch. And then there's ways to scale this out and expand it further with adding different keywords and using some different tactics. But this campaign will get you very far in terms of good coverage, but also relevancy. We don't necessarily want to bid on keywords where a user is just looking for information or doing research. We really want to make sure we're there when they're actively in the market, evaluating competition and evaluating facilities. So this campaign really puts us in a good spot. We do have a list of negative keywords, and I'll drop the link to that in the description of the video so you could download it. Negative keywords basically make it so your ads don't show up when that negative keyword is searched. So maybe you don't want the word affordable if you're more high-end or expensive, or there's maybe you don't offer boat storage, so we don't want to show up if someone types in boat storage near me. So you can add those words as negatives, which will really let you refine where your ads show. That's really the key with Google Ads, is getting rid of all the wasted ad spend that can happen if your campaigns are too broad. So after this, the next thing we like to think about is the ad copy and the ad extensions you can use. So once you have your campaign structure and keyword selected, we're typically going to start looking at ad copy. So for ad copy, what I like to see is 1 or 2 headlines where the exact keyword is in there. So you'll see the blue links here are the headlines, and then this gray text is the description copy. So for headlines, we add about 2 or 3 that are keyword focused. Then the rest of our headlines or at least a majority of them, we really want to come up with different benefit focused ones. So you'll see Extra Space here is using a promotion in their headline up to 40% off. This one here for QSmart has reserve your unit online. So they're showing how you can easily reserve online. So those are different concepts that you can start to incorporate. Anything that makes it easy for the user to choose your listing. We really want to think about how can we stand out here, because there's typically going to be 4 ads showing, and we don't want to just simply have the keyword in the ad text. So anything that's benefit focused or that would draw the user in and get them kind of excited to click on your listing versus the others. You'll see Sparefoot and Rent Cafe typically have pricing like this from $19 from $9. You'll see actually selfstorage.com is doing it as well with from $21. So that could be another way to kind of stand out if you have a starting point and you know it's lower than competitors and it would be compelling for people to click on. That's something you could consider adding. If you don't want to necessarily compete on price, then I think the key is really focusing on all the different things you offer. So is the process easy? Is it fast? Do you have high reviews and good ratings? You could tout that in your headlines as well. The CTA and a call to action in the headlines, I tend to like to do that as well. So I think of the headlines as kind of 3 phases. There's the keywords focus, the benefit focus copy, and then the call to action copy. So for that, it would be things like this, like reserve your unit online. If we look at this result here, we can start to see a nice benefit focus here, rated #1 in customer service. That's kind of a nice way to, if you know that that's something your customers care about, that there's good service, all of that, you can actually do that right in the headline. You could do address. So these guys are putting their street address here. That may work if someone's close by, and it's something to consider. So we also have another promo here, first month free. So obviously if we're running anything like that, that would be good to make front and center. But this is something you'll have to experiment with. There's really no right way to do this. There's best practices. We like to implement everything. And then it's really about looking at your data. And really, this is really going to be click-through rate, the metric you're going to use to determine if your ad copy is performing well. If your click-through rate is increasing, or if it's above your normal average, then you know you're doing well with your ad copy. If it's below average, then you just swap that out and try different benefits and different ways of talking about your facility. So other things for ad copy I look at are extensions. So these are kind of the base extensions we'll typically set up. So the location extension we spoke about earlier for the map listings. Site link extensions, we like to set up about 4 of those. Let's see if any of these have any here, and it looks like these do. So site links are additional links somebody can click on below your ad that takes them to different pages on your website. So those will typically set up as well. It just gives your ad a little more real estate here and a little more visibility when users see it. Even if they don't click on it, we've seen that it can impact click-through rate positively just by having those. Call out extensions are additional lines of text below the ad. We'll usually set up about 5 to 8 of those for each campaign. Then a structured snippet. The way we like to do that, typically you could list out different types of storage, like business storage, personal storage, RV, boats, all the different types of storage you have in this like kind of list format. And then a promotion extension would be used really if you have a promotion running, like first month rent free or 50% off the first 3 months. You could actually use an extension, which will give your ad more visibility and more space on the first page. So those are kind of the main things we look at ad copy. So once you have your campaign structure, your keywords, location targeting, and ad copy, really the next thing to consider is your landing page. So for most storage facilities, we're going to choose a location page for that campaign. So in each campaign, we're only targeting one location. We want to have all our locations and facilities in separate campaigns, so we can really just target the 3 to 5 mile radius around that location. So usually what we're going to do is just choose the location page that's relevant for that campaign. So on a location page, and these pages are really important for SEO as well, but for Google Ads, really what we like to see are kind of name, address, phone number. Reviews are always a good feature to have to really highlight if you have good reviews, and you should always be trying to get more reviews to help your local SEO, but this will have an impact on your ads as well. Hours, all just kind of general information. Then really what you want to get to as quickly as possible is the ability for someone to find a unit and book it online. So you can get into, like this is one example just from Extra Space here, but the key with the landing page is we want to get a user to the page and then get them to book a unit, and find everything they need to book a unit without having to speak with anybody through the landing page. Now, social proof with the reviews, like it's definitely a good idea to have reviews embedded on the page as well, so a user doesn't have to go back to Google or go to another website to find your reviews. We want to have all the information someone would need to book a unit without having to go back to the search results or calling anybody or doing anything else. So those are really the key factors there. But for the most part, we're just going to use the location page for your facility as a landing page. If your website is outdated and it needs to be updated, or you don't like the design and the UX of your landing pages and your location pages, sometimes we'll actually use a third-party tool and build a separate landing page for a campaign. Normally, though, we'd like to see the location page be optimized on the website to get the SEO value out of it, and then we'll also use that for Google Ads. Now, in terms of monitoring, so after you've launched a campaign and you've implemented all of this, monitoring the performance and analyzing what's happening is really key to making it work. And that's where a lot of times campaigns can fall apart, is looking at the data. So here we have just some mock numbers in here of search volume, cost per click, what the ads would cost, and then how many clicks we get, how many book units we would get if we had a 3% conversion rate, and what that would cost per unit. It's really important to know the lifetime value of a customer. That's really what's going to help you understand if your ads are profitable or not. If you don't have that data and you don't know how long a customer stays on average and what the average lifetime value is, it's really hard to make sure Google Ads are working. And it's also hard to scale. If you're under your KPIs and you know the cost for a book unit is way less than the customer lifetime value, you could increase and scale up the campaigns and get more tenants and get more visibility. But if you don't know that number, it's really hard to make Google Ads work. So normally what we like to do here is first start with that number, and then we could figure out what's the cost per book unit that we need to see for the ads to be profitable. So let's say the cost per book unit is $200, and anything below $200 means we're profitable on the ads. We're going to be optimizing towards getting that cost per lead or cost per book unit under $200. So let's say in this case, we see that this keyword here is at $166. This would be a good indication that we can increase the budget on that keyword and try to maximize it, because we're already at KPI and we have room to scale and actually be very profitable. On situations where we're way over, we might want to see what we can do to refine that keyword, or that keyword may just be too expensive and it might not work. And in that case, we would remove it from the campaign. But you can't make those adjustments if you don't have these numbers in order before launching a campaign. So it's really critical to set these KPIs and understand these metrics. That way, when you go to launch a campaign, you can make the adjustments to make it work and make it be profitable.